Hey squad, welcome back. Now for today's Logic Pro hack, I'm going to show you how you can forward and rewind the Logic playhead, not just jumping from bar to bar like this, but setting things up so the playhead forwards and rewinds to your very specific assigned settings. Now this video was inspired by JS Townsend, who sent in this comment. I really wish there was a way to move forward and backward at way smaller increments, like division or frame if you're working on a movie. Well, that's exactly what we're going to be covering in this one. So let's dive in. Now, one of the most important sets of key commands is the forward and rewind key commands that you really ought to be using when moving the playhead forward and back. So let's just open up our virtual keyboard here. By using these two keys here, the comma and the full stop or period key on your computer keyboard, that's how you move around. So if I was to click here, you'd see the playhead jumping from bar to bar. And these are the standard forward and rewind buttons that you'd find used in most Apple products. If you haven't yet checked out my key commands videos, you really ought to do so. I cover a hell of a lot of useful key commands that will really enhance your workflow. So check the link above as well as in the description to get to the playlist. Anyway, back to this one. Now, I don't need to load up a video to demonstrate how to set this up. It's quite easy. What we need to do is figure out what interval or incremental setting we want to move the playhead by, and you do have quite a lot of options. Now, besides using these two keys to move forwards and backwards by one bar at a time, if we held down the shift key, we use the same two arrow keys to move things around, we'll jump by 8 bar intervals. So from bar 1 to bar 9, 17, 24, etc. Now there's another standard logic key command. If we hold down the control key, as you can see here, and we use our arrows once again, we can move around by transients. And the transients are the spikes in the audio waveform. However, we want to set this in a very specific way. And to do so, we need to come up here to Logic Pro, Key Commands, Edit Assignments. Okay, so right here we have got our key command assignment window. And what we want to do here up in the search command box is type rewind. And now we'll see all of the rewind key commands that have been preset in your version of Logic. Currently, we've got the regular rewind button as demonstrated right here. We've also got fast rewind, which as we showed earlier, shift and the comma key, and also what I showed you as well, which was the rewind by transient, control and comma. However, for someone who's working with film, you might want to rewind one frame at a time. As far as I'm aware, this particular key command is not preset, so we can set it up ourselves. So if I was to click on this function right here and come over here to learn by key label, switch that on. And now for this function, I'm going to set up shift, option, comma. There we are. Now let's open up the giant time display and let's move our playhead to say bar 3. And if I use my key command shift, option, comma, let's see what happens. We are now rewinding one frame at a time. What I'll now do is clear this box, type forward. And once again, I'll have a look through here and I'm going to look for forward one frame. Select there, click learn by key label, and I'm going to use the same setup, which is shift, option, full stop or period key. Boom. Now let's test this out. Shift, option, left, shift, option, right. Forward and rewind by frame. However, while we're here, we might as well set up a couple more things. Forward by division is one of my favorites, and I'll show you why. Now for this function, I'm going to go for option, command, full stop, boom. And then I'm going to change this up here to rewind, and we're going to go for the same function, but going in the other direction. Rewind by division value, option, command, comma. There we are. Now this particular one is really helpful indeed, because depending on what division we set here will determine the interval of our forward and rewind function. So at the moment we're on 1/16th note divisions. So if I was to click on bar 3, for example, and I went option command forward, we're going to jump by 16th divisions. Okay, let's change this to 8th notes. Now we're going to move by 8th notes. For me, this is the most flexible one because all you need to do is come here and then you can go like 1/192, and that will be really, really tiny moves, as you can see right here. And it's just the same function, which is option, command, comma, or full stop. Now, the last one I'm going to show you right here is this one here, rewind by nudge value. Now, this is if you want to get really granular and you want to move things at the smallest increment possible in Logic. What you need to do is make sure your toolbar is open like so. And over here, you've got your nudge values where you can set just here. You can set this to really, really, really tiny increments all the way down to sample. Let's say 1 millisecond. Let's set that as our nudge value. Now let's set up our key command. Make sure learn by key label is switched on. And this time I'm going to use the function control, option, command, comma. Change this to forward and then come down to forward by nudge value. Choose learn by key label, control, option, command, full stop. Boom. Now switch that off and let's test this out. As you can see, I'm selecting the command keys and I'm about to click here. If you look at the big display here, you'll see these numbers changing. You might not see the playhead moving, and that's because you're moving at such tiny incremental values. Going the other way, going. So this is really, really handy. Of course, if you want to change your nudge value here to say quarter notes, change that there. And now using the same command, you can move like so. So once again, the nudge value setup is really quite handy because of the range of incremental options available to you. So hopefully that's another really useful hack when it comes to working in Logic, especially when you're working with film and being able to move the playhead at really tiny intervals if that's what you need. Hopefully this will solve some problems for you. As always, if I've brought you value in this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe to the channel and leave me a comment. It's always great hearing from you. And don't forget to check out my videos where I demonstrate some of the other fantastic key commands which will definitely help improve your Logic Pro workflow. So until next time, I'm Deuce, I'm out. Peace.